Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. So just finished replace that cartridge on that turbo. It's from a Jeep Patriot 2.0 CRDI, I think it is. Anyway, moving into the next car, or actually that was not a car, it was just a turbo. Right, moving into this car now. This car is a BMW E90 2010 with the, I think it's the 3-liter turbo diesel. So the 3-liter, the 330D. And the complaint with this is the following. Right, when the car was dropped here, the car was running absolutely perfect. It was smoking just a little bit, but nothing like, you know, just a little bit. It was not, I can't even say it was smoking, but you could see the smoke coming out of the exhaust. Now, this car has a DPF, so if there is smoke coming from the exhaust on a car with the DPF, there is a good possibility that the DPF is being removed. Right, let's just take that in mind, yeah? So, but the complaint was that the car had has a really rough start when it's cold, and it misfires. Now, I don't know if it's misfiring. BMWs, especially the 3-liter diesel, the 6-cylinder inline. My experience with this is that there is a reason why they usually run rough when cold. Now, today is really warm, so I don't know if we're going to be able to experience that. I haven't started the car today, so I left it for, obviously, for Hester can obviously go through and try to see if he does that. But yeah, so the complaint is that it runs rough when it's cold. Once it's warmed up, it runs absolutely perfect, which I confirm, because when the car was dropped here, and repeated myself, the car was running perfect. I was also told the engine light was on. Now, when I got the car, when the car was dropped here, engine light was off. So let's see if this is now being cleared. This car, I think it comes from another place. Okay, I've not been told that, but I think this car comes from another garage. For reasons that I'm not going to take you through, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so as I said, running rough when it's cold, engine light on, and I was told a little bit of smoke through the exhaust. So, with no further ado, guys, I think the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to open the bonnet. So in case if you really miss, or if it runs rough, you can see it. And then we'll start the engine. And we'll see how we'll see how it runs really from cold. But as I said, it's quite warm today, and that definitely influences the way the engine starts in cold. So, but let's do it. Okay, I'm going to start the engine. I'm not going to leave the engine to run for too long. Depends how the engine behaves now, because if this is what I think it is, I don't want the engine to be boiling. So I'm just going to start the engine, see how it runs, and then we'll go from there. And as you can see, the engine starts to go a little bit. Can you see this? But it's not running too bad. I strongly believe the external temperature is influencing the way the engine is starting up. So it's pretty much stopping. Okay, so it's pretty much running okay. The guy said to me, usually it takes about 2 minutes along there for the car to actually stabilize. As you've seen, it stabilized very quick, just a little bit of a sort of a shaking of the engine. As you can see, guys, it's really warm. It's 31 degrees right now. I know the car is stationary, but it's 31 degrees and it's not even midday. And that can definitely influence the way an engine starts from cold. Nevertheless, let's gonna scan the car and just to see if we have codes for what I think the problem might be when the car runs rough on cold. Okay, just scan the car and boom, absolutely right. So as you can see, well, actually, now looking into this, it might be that we have two issues here, but the ignition is going off. Right, so as you can see, all these codes are absent, but look when you get to the present codes. Glow plug control, glow plug control, glow plug control, glow plug control. So to me, this is a glow plug issue, and that's the experience I had with these cars. I had two of these engines. Well, maybe not this particular engine, but the 330 diesel. I had a 530 diesel, the E60, and I have the 7 Series that you all know about it. So, and both of them, I had this exact same issue. So I wouldn't see why, even though this is a slightly different engine version, but I don't see why that would be different. Indeed, the glow plugs on these cars are very, very important, especially on cold start. So I think we're going to focus onto that to start with. Then we have codes here for the EGR. Now, that's the problem now. What was done with this car? I've seen the smoke at the back, which shouldn't be there. This car is fitted with a DPF. It shouldn't be smoke. Has the car been remapped? Oh dear, now it's going to be a little bit of a story onto this. But to start with, and there is no doubt, I'm going to focus straight away on my glow plugs. That's what we're going to do first. And yeah, and we'll go from there really. Okay, so glow plugs, they live in there, so one there, then one there. The glow plug relay controller lives in there. Easier than the older engines. Was much more difficult to get to it on the older engines. But yeah, so lives in there. So let's gonna do a few tests and move from there really. See how many glow plugs we need, but most likely I will replace them all and make sure. Most likely the controller is bad as well, but we'll have to check that first. Okay, and I have everything set up, got hold of some diagrams. Ideally, at this point, guys, I would have connected Eyster. Would be slightly easier, but nevertheless, these will help us. This will do for now. So at the moment, I have connected to ground. So if I touch with the positive lead anywhere that's ground, I should have. That's not probably not, so alternator. So I have, there we go, so continuity 0 ohms. So what I'm going to do now is measure every single glow plug. So let me check with this, which pin is which. So this goes like this, which means pin 1 to pin 4 is glow plug 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6 is pin 7 and 8. Sorry, 7 and 8, sorry, 7 and 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then these two at the top. Okay, so let's check the first one. Oh yeah, that's it. So pin number 1, we have 1.3 ohms, so it's about right. So glow plug number 2, about an ohm, is about right. Number 3 is about right. Number 4 is about right. Number 6, number 5. Wow. So they are all about right. Okay. That's interesting. I was definitely expecting to see some bad glow plugs here. Oh dear. So then we have pin 5, which is ignition voltage. Pin 6 and 12 is, I think pin 6 is ground. and pin 12 is my LIN bus. Okay. Okay. Right. So let's what we're gonna do next. Okay, let's think this through, how I'm gonna do next. I was not really expecting, I was expecting to see some bad glow plugs, and they are all measuring okay really, apart from one that is a little bit too high on 1.3, I think it was, or two of them actually on 1.3. Well, that means a bad glow plug, so that's 1.3. That's 1.2. That's 1.2. That's 1. That's 0.9. That's 0.9. Will the 1 point... It's so difficult to get the probe in there. You see, that's all about correct, honestly. So, oh dear, that goes straight to the ECU. I think I might check the wires from here to the ECU, and yeah, it's gonna check the wires from here to the ECU. Okay, so pin 5, which is my voltage to the module, not to the glow plugs but to the module itself. So there we go, it comes into this green plug here by the ECU, wire red and yellow, so bang on. Now let's gonna check my ground wire. It's pin 6 and that goes to the ECU itself. D plug 8 pins, gonna have to be this one here, this one here, 1 2 3 4, yeah. So it's a plug with 8 pins, and the ground is gonna be, no, I'm lying now, with 40 pins. So it's the plug with 40 pins. 40 pins. Which one is gonna be 40 pins? Probably this one now. Let's see if it's that one there. It doesn't come out. I have to take them all out. This is not 40 pins. Is this 40 pins? Yeah, this is 40 pins, but it's not going to be that one. That one goes inside the car. So it's going to have to be this last one. Gonna have to need to get a different probe. Hold on. Okay, and I'm so sorry for just been showing you the multimeter, just trust me. So we're gonna check the LIN bus, which is pin B15, so it's pin number 15, I believe it is. It should be this one. Nah, I think I'm on the wrong plug. It's not 40 pin, it's 59 pins. So it's gonna have to be either this one or the other one. So 18, 17, 16. Is that gonna be that? No, it's not that one. So it's gonna have to be this one then. It's not going to be that one, that's for sure. It's going to have to be this one, definitely. Ah, silly boy. I was in the wrong pin on the, okay, 0.7, so I was on the wrong pin on the actually plug itself. So I think we measured everything. No, we still have the ground to measure, so ground is going to be my pin 6. So my pin 6 is going to be that pin in there. So that was the lean bus, so pin 6 now is going to go to pin 14 on the same plug. Oh, it's just the one after that. Boom, there we go, all good. So we are looking, guys, at this plug here. Actually, the phone is charging. Hold on, let me show you all these then. So lean bus and ground comes to this black plug, pin 14 being ground, 15 being the lean bus, and the voltage power supply comes to this plug here, this green one, okay, and is the second wire from there to there, the second one, which is yellow, sorry, red with a yellow strip, and everything else up to here, everything is good. So I don't know exactly what happened at the moment, but we might have a bad module. The only thing we need to test now is do an output test and make sure that actually module is supplying the glow plugs. Other than that, that's it. Okay, and it's getting really hot. So right now, guys, I've plugged the, so to start with, yeah, I had to get this. It's gonna make my life easier. Also, I had to plug in the charger. There is a lot of stuff unplugged on the engine bay. I lifted that sort of loom inside that plastic that runs above the glow plugs, and I pulled it to the side, and everything is unplugged around there. So we're gonna have a lot of codes, but that doesn't really matter. We should still be okay to go for the glow plug activation. Go through some test blends. We did a lot of them already, but we're just going to confirm with Eyster. I just want to see if I can activate the glow plugs, which on a quick look, I don't think MaxiSys can do it. So we're gonna, I know for a fact that these will, so we're gonna test that. Okay, there is a little bit of glare, I do apologize for that, but right now I'm on a test plan, if you want to call it. So that's the diagrams. We already check everything from, well, we checked the glow plugs. They all have a resistance, so if it was a problem from the module to the glow plug, we would have an open line most likely, or a short. Everything looked okay there. The glow plugs seem to be within the specifications, about an ohm around there, so they don't look too bad. What's just going on here? It's now overheating, isn't it? Oh crap. It's really warm today, and this computer is, I'm gonna have to get the fan here, otherwise it's just gonna keep going off. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so we are back here. Hopefully that will keep, these laptop tends to overheat, to heat quite a lot. Well, these laptops, they tend to heat a little bit, even though, just off topic, even though when I first got them, I got them both with problems with the GPU, with the graphics card. At the time I had a reflow machine, so I reflow this and the other one. I have two of this. I reflow both, and I increased the heat sink elements inside with copper, and I never really had an issue, unless, especially with this one, unless there's really a hot day like this. I'm trying to keep the laptop away from the sun, but direct sunlight, but still. So with this, hopefully it won't shut down. Anyway, we are here now on this test plan, so we have the wiring diagrams. We already checked that, so we don't need to go through this. So the general fault I have here with this is this. So communication is no longer possible with lean users. This has been already rectified, and we're gonna try, I think, I'm not sure, I know what the one underneath does. I'm not sure about this one, so we're going to try this one just in case. just in case if this actually is going to try to communicate with the module. Let me see if that's why it is. Carry out the add to the test plan. Okay, that's fine. Okay, test plan. Wow. So if I go back here, so the one underneath, let me show you this. I thought this one would try to communicate with module and would give you some sort of what do you call it, some sort of feedback saying there is no comms or there is communications. But we'll try this one underneath, because we measured the LIN bus. The LIN bus is absolutely fine from the ECU all the way to the module. So unless we have an ECU problem, that's another that will be something else. But so it says in the next stop, in the next preheating, in the next diagnosis, the preheating is activated for 10 seconds, blah blah blah. So if I continue, it should give me some sort of power consumption. It shows 00. It says the test plan is finished, or the diagnosis is finished, and basically it tells me about the shown below, the fault memory displays control unit. So these are the fault codes for the group, and now when you go forward, it tells me to replace the control unit. I strongly believe that this will show me. Yeah, so check communication fault via LAN bus. Check following line and plug connection LIN bus. If LIN bus is okay, renew the preheating, blah 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 blah. So I think what I'm going to do next, guys, is literally check the LIN bus. I just want to make sure we have some communications in there, just in case if there is a faint possibility of we having a problem on the ECU. So that's what we're gonna. That's what I'm gonna do. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the scope, put the scope on that LIN bus, see if we have communications. If we do have some sort of, it's just a LIN bus. It's gonna be very difficult to interpret the message. But all I want to see is see if I have communications. If I do have communications, that means the ECU is trying to communicate with the module. It's just the module that is not responding. That's about it, really. So we're gonna get the scope and get that done. Okay, and I think I have it all set up. So the scope is set up on 500 millivolts per division and 200 milliseconds. Actually, I might do 500 milliseconds per division. Now I haven't even turned the ignition on since for about an hour maybe. I just went for lunch. Anyway, even without performing that test, just by turning the ignition on, we should see some sort of communications going on. So let's put the key on. There we go. Bingo. Okay, so there we go. We have communications. So let me do that. Voltages. That's actually 12 volts. The LIN bus is actually 12 volts. So let's kind of go seconds. So 200 milliseconds, 50 milliseconds. There we go. So we do have some sort of communications happening. Okay. So there is no need of testing any longer. So I'm testing the output of the ECU. We already measured the wiring. The wiring is good up to the ECU. So I'm gonna still doing this test. Okay. Just curiosity. See if we see anything changing in there. Just curiosity, really. Actually, let me turn the ignition on. So if I continue now. Continue, blah blah. So the LIN bus is good. actually I think I'm going to do one more thing. So in the next step is the preheating is activated for faults in the preheating system. So it doesn't tell me, it looks like it's just going to preheat, or it's just going to activate every single glow plug. So I was keen to put my test light on one of them just to have a look, but okay. So yeah, communication has never been interrupted. It was there all the way. Yeah, same result. Preheating. Replace the following component. So I'm pretty convinced that we have a bad glow plug relay module, and that's what we're going to do. Even if I put the test light on them, it's not going to make a difference. All the glow plugs, they measured okay. I don't think, are these glow plugs the ones with the pressure sensor? But even if they were, they would still being activated. It wouldn't make a difference. So nah, I think this is, I'm quite happy with this result, with this test plan. As you have seen, let's gonna get a new module and go from there. Okay, and just before we go, and just curiosity, and to make sure we don't do nothing that we're not supposed to, or we don't diagnose nothing wrong, I just went through the functional description of the glow plugs. These are not the ones with the pressure sensor on them. It's just normal ceramic glow plugs. So it tells here, depending on the coolant temperature, for how long they're going to be activated. So this morning was about, well, the coolant was not for sure at 30 degrees, but I would guess was probably somewhere between 5 degrees and 30. So they would be activated for 1.1 seconds. I can see the resistor here on the screen when you turn the ignition on. Above 30 they are not even used, and obviously between 0 and 5 degrees there's 1.6 seconds they are supposed to be preheated for. But as you can see there, when the start standby preheating is terminated, after 10 seconds on the start standby preheating, or if the engine threshold is above 42 RPMs. So starting is activated every time the engine is started at a coolant temperature below 75 degrees. What else? If there's no communication, so emergency glowing, as you can see there, in the event of a failure in the communication between the DDE and the preheating control unit for more than 1 second, emergency preheating is triggered for 3 minutes. Here, the preheating control unit uses safe values to prevent damage to the preheating system. And then it tells you the hidden glowing, which is basically how it's gonna the strategy below that for that emergency preheating. If the DDE detects that the combustion chambers cool down too much due to the operation at low loads, partial load preheating is activated. So, as you can see, the glow plugs are so important on modern engines. That's unbelievable. So even with the engine normal running and the partial load glowing, if the DDE detects that the combustion chambers cool down too much due to operations at low loads, partial load preheating is activated. So that's why these engines, they need these glow plugs to work spot on. Is one of the most important things. People think, just glow plugs, if it starts it's okay. It's not that simple. Plus they are used for DPF regenerations, or you name it. So yeah, very, very, very important, the glow plugs on this car. I'm actually keen to take possibly some glow plugs out if they are not seized. I hope not. Just have a quick look. But actually I'm going to try, I can't do that, can I? Until I get the module. I think I'm going to wait for the module, and then the module, with a good module, hopefully I'll be able to proper test the glow plugs. Okay, and after speaking with the owner, I don't usually get this sort of car owners, but this guy is actually keen to do a proper job on this. So he actually wants me to obviously put a new module, and he actually wants the new glow plugs as well. I didn't even argue when he said, oh, can you replace the glow plugs, are they good? I said, look, they tested good, but if you want to replace them, they are 10 years old now, so if you want to replace them, it's not a bad idea. So we're going to do that as well. But in the meantime, I've checked the turbo. While you are doing it, why not? The turbo spins okay. There is no play at all. There is obviously always a little bit, but it's really good. The turbo actually very, very good. So I'm going to take the manifold off to clean. With some codes in there for the EGR, for the wheel flaps. So I'm just going to take the intake out. But to take the intake out, you need to take this pipe for the EGR. But this pipe, the bolts are completely gone. They are that rusted. I've tried, but there's nothing I can put in there that actually grabs those bolts. So I'm going to have to take the EGR completely with the pipe work and everything. So I'm going to have to take the whole thing out. A little bit more work, but it is what it is. The manifold is out, and I scratched my hand. Damn it. Okay, so over there is not too bad, but over there, look at that. There's a fair amount of carbon buildup. I think because it's the ones clear to the EGR, so the EGR obviously feeds from here on the intake, and this is the first ones that are going to be fed. Let's clean this here. But let me show you the manifold. It is bad. Look at that. So this turns that way to close, but look how full of crap they are. And when you turn them around, look at that. How could the car breathe properly? Never in a million years. So towards to cylinder 1 is slightly better, but still, look, cylinder 1 or cylinder 6, whatever, the one at the front, look, the space in there in between, etc. Look at that one. So I'm not going to delete the wheel flaps. I think I'm just going to clean everything properly. The car is about 100,000 miles, so if it lasts another 100,000, no, it won't be too bad. Going to remove the throttle body because you can't really see it, but no, you can't really see it, but it starts to get obstructed as well. So we're going to clean everything properly, and hopefully that will prevent the little bit of smoking, maybe that a little bit as well. Clean everything properly and go from there, really. But first, let's gonna remove the glow plugs. Okay, glow plugs. I'm not gonna dwell for too long on the glow plugs. That was my next approach. By the way, this is like 4 or 5 days later, but a couple days back. So what I've done is I broke the glow plugs free, so I lose them a little bit. They wouldn't come out anyway, but they would turn like maybe 1 or 2 turns, and then they would stop coming up. So I broke them loose and filled the pits with WD-40 and left it overnight. Then the next day when I tried to take them out, I think you can start to imagine, I got 5. This is how they came out. So as you can see, it ripped the threads on the glow plug, but on the head is actually good. I have 4 here because one of them actually snapped. It snapped, and at this point I had a couple solutions. I would either start to spend some money and buy some kits to remove the broken glow plug. I would try to lend again. I did a couple times in the past. I'll try to lend from some people that I know that have them, if they could lend me the kits, or I would get someone to do it. So I was not in the mood to go through the removal of a glow plug like this. I didn't want to damage anything, and it's not even my car, so I didn't want to risk it too much. So found a guy locally that actually does that removal of injectors and glow plugs. the guy came here, took him about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and he got it out. So I don't have any parts put back on yet, so the glow plug module and the glow plugs, they have not arrived yet. But what I've been doing so far is cleaning. And here we have the manifold. You can't really see it, but you can see the flaps definitely, how better they look. Clean this EGR pipe, throttle body, and I'm now in the process of cleaning the intakes. So I've done, if you remember, I've showed you just earlier, that's cleaned. I've cleaned, I think, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I was just now moving to this one, so I have another 3 cylinders to do. The glow plug that snapped, if I'm not mistaken, I think was that one. I don't know, it was that one. It was that one. That one was the one that snapped. But yeah, all done. Now I'm just cleaning. Okay, and continuing with the cleaning, I'm now moving to the EGR. Don't know if you recall, was a coding there for the EGR position signal or something like that. And I found that the EGR is actually getting stuck. Put it like that, so when I open the EGR like that, it should come back on its own, and it doesn't. It gets stuck right there at the bottom. This is usually because of play on the shaft, on this shaft here. I'm gonna do something, try to make it to work. Let me show you that the EGR no longer gets stuck. It's not just the grease, obviously I've cleaned it. It's not just the grease, it's also with the needle file. You take a little bit of metal between here and about here. So you take about, I don't know, a couple thousandths of a mil or hundreds of a mil, and that compensates for the play that you have on the shaft. So when I put the shaft there, you're gonna see this. It does have a little bit of play sideways, and that's what makes it to get stuck at the bottom. A little bit of grease. I'm happy with it. Made in Portugal, right? This is like a week later, believe me or not. Been working in the meantime, etc. Anyway, got all the bits, and everything's ready to put back on. So I'm not gonna take you through anything now. Manifold has been cleaned as I've showed you, etc, etc. So I'm just literally gonna put everything back on very quickly, and yeah, I guess try the car, but I think it should be all good to go. And yeah, that's it. So let's gonna put everything back on. For you guys wondering, the torque is, I set it to 15. The actual recommendation is about 13. I went 2 newton-meters above, so 15, that's what I'm talking at. again for the intake manifold is supposed to be around 15 Newton meters. I'm giving it a little bit more. I'm reusing the same gaskets, etc. Guy doesn't want to spend the money, so I'm giving just a little bit more so it snags a little bit better. But the specific torques are 15. Whatever you want to give it more, obviously don't go crazy, like 1 or 2 Newton meters. I'm giving it about 16.5, and that should be alright. So earlier, if you pay attention, I know it was time lapsing, but I was forgetting this pipe here. All back in place now. So yeah, that's it. It's looking good so far, but I'm not going to go any further now. We're going to plug the machine and see if we can have any communications with the glow plug control unit. We're going to do a test again as we were doing before, and only then, yes, I will finish. Well, actually I need to plug all the cables back in first, so I think it's better if we do that first. Yeah, we need to put some cables back in. Okay, and here we are again on the same test. So I'm going to press continue. Can you see the difference with the new module and the old module? So there we go. We have now a working system. Let's press continue to see the report. No fault codes. All good. So basically the way it works, it tests, you see how many watts the glow plugs are pulling, and that way he actually detects if there's any glow plug that is not working, because he will know exactly, I guess that's the way it works, but he should calculate how much should be the total wattage consumption combined from the 6 glow plugs, and if he's below a certain threshold, he will know obviously that one of the glow plugs is not pulling. But anyway, I'm sure the module, he will diagnose individually each one of the glow plugs anyway, so that's good. We're just gonna end test module. So I'm happy with this. So right now we are going to finish to assemble the car. There is a few other things that needs to be completed, that needs to be put back. So we're going to put everything back on, and then hopefully we'll start the car, because we have fuel lines out for the guy to remove the glow plug, the broken glow plug. I had to remove one of the high pressure lines, so it's going to be here in the system. Because we've been cleaning everything, I expect a rough start. I expect a little bit of smoke while he burns all that soot, all that carbon, that gunk that went inside the cylinders as I cleaned it, etc., or on top of the valves that obviously will now go inside the cylinders. It will be burned, so I expect a little bit of a rough start, but let's gonna do it. Let's gonna see how we go. So let's gonna finish to assemble the car and see what we get afterwards. Okay, everything has been plugged in. All the sensors for the engine, everything is plugged in. I think is the The HVAC sensor is unplugged from that tray at the back, and the bonnet switch is being pressed, obviously for me to have the car locked. But anyway, when it comes to sensors for the engine, everything is plugged in, airflow meters, absolutely everything is plugged in. So it's time to start the engine. Just before we do that, clear all the faults. Engine came fault free. There is a junction box, DSC and light module or FRM module that still have some faults. Not to worry with that. Engine, there is no faults. Most likely it will trigger faults now because it's going to probably not start straight away, but at least we know that we have no faults for any other component, at least on this sort of startup check that the engine ECU does. So we know for the new guys, let's gonna start this engine. So I think I need to press the clutch on this. Okay, let's gonna go. Nothing's gonna fall off, I think. Okay, come on. So that's the fault. So it's still cranking. I'm gonna stop now. Okay, key off. Let's start again. There we go. Running, a little bit limping right now. I would expect that, really. And it's smooth as a whistle. Look at that. It's running really smooth. Look at that. Okay, and just before we warm up the engine at all, it's gonna do another cold start. It's gonna be pretty much cold start. Running really smooth. Oh, beautiful. Okay, let's gonna check the engine ECU again. See which faults we have, just in case. It most likely is trigger fault, but let's gonna check and see what we have. And look at that. My only fault is on the DDE, rail pressure monitoring on engine start. Obviously it would trigger that fault. Brake wear on the DSC. The AU is so the JB is the sensor that is unplugged that I've showed you. Start marker light, there's a light faulty, so nothing really major. That JB fault will go as soon as we put everything back on. Then we will be left with that brake pad wear, and that's it. So if I clear that code now and restart the engine, I should get no faults at all. Let's gonna do it quickly just to show you, but obviously self-explanatory that we're gonna have no faults afterwards. Okay, there we go. Car code's cleared, scanned again, no faults on the DDE. Let's gonna now start the engine again. Let's cycle the ignition. That is for the brake. There we go, running. Let's gonna scan the car again. Yes, start the scan. It's gonna see what my DDE brings back. Hopefully nothing. Sorry about the glare, guys. I do apologize. There we go. No faults on my DDE. That's problem solved. Also, there is no smoke. As you can see. And I think, guys, I'm gonna wrap up this video here. Problem is solved. So most likely this the little smoke that was coming out was caused by the fact that the intakes, the manifold, everything was clogged with gunk, as you have seen. The poor starting when cold, as I explained to you, most likely to me, or pretty much to me, was caused by the bad glow plug controller. Obviously it was no glow plugs for the cold start at all, and that would make the engine to run a little bit lumpy at the start. And that's it, guys, really. I'm really happy. I'm pretty sure that we have a fix and I'm not going to take the car for a test drive because I believe there is no road tax on this car, but surely if the car comes back with any issue related to what we have done, I will let you know. But I'm 99.9999% convinced that this is a fix, guys. Obviously the other faults now is the on the JBE for that AUC sensor. That will go away as soon as we put everything back on. The SC for the brake pads, FRM for a light somewhere, not really worried. But for the engine, guys, I'm really pleased that we fixed this. So in the end, guys, glow plug controller module, glow plugs, we snapped one, not too good, but we got it done. Stuck EGR and a lot of gunk everywhere, and cleaning everything I think was a very good option to do. And that's it, guys. Car is running perfect, idling perfect, revving perfectly, no smoke, no nothing. So it might be that after all, this DPF might have not been removed and the smoke was caused by a poor mixture due to the low airflow, most likely, I would say. So guys, with no further ado, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope there's some information here you can find useful. I don't know if you have any comments, any questions, please put them below. And like always, thanks for watching.